It is just a huge honor for me today to be podcast interviewing Dr. Spencer Zaugg, DMD. He received his bachelor's degree in chemistry and microbiology at Weber State University, then earned his doctorate in dental medicine at Southern Illinois University. Following dental school, he completed a one-year full-time fellowship in implant dentistry. He attends several CE courses a year as well as lectures on implants. He has earned several degrees, certificates, and awards. The education, experience, and skill set that Dr. Zaugg has allows him to provide good, solid dentistry. He has a great passion for dentistry and would love to help you. He received his surgical technology certificate from Salt Lake Community College, worked at the University of Utah Hospital, assisting in surgical procedures. It was during this time that he developed a passion for research and received his bachelor's degree in chemistry and microbiology. So the reason he's on the show today is here I was at home minding my own business, trying to be good, and all of a sudden I read about this thread on the Montana mask. Let me pull it up right now. And the Montana mask, that's why he's from Montana. And I posted this on Dental Town. He's got a YouTube video. It was another dentist, a friend of mine, Jay Russo from Florida, who posted it on Dental Town first. And he says the Montana mask versus N95 mask for PPE, and some of the desirable features, high-level filtration, custom or semi-custom fit. But anyway, I started reading all this, and then I watched the YouTube video, and I thought, damn, I want to get this guy to come on my show and talk about this. You have an amazing background. The pandemic comes out, and instead of hiding in the basement and crying, you develop your own mask. Where did this come from?
Well, it's a really actually quite interesting story. I have a friend who's a surgeon in the medical field, and him and I were talking about all of the different things that were going on in the world, the shortage of the mask, and that was late April, mid March when we were all talking about that. And then the next day, his OR, when he's going to do some surgery, has a note on there. It says 1 mask per week. And he's like, no way, this is not happening. And anyway, they were running out of PPE, or at least trying to conserve. We didn't know how long it was going to be. So anyway, he called me and said, we got to fix this. We got to figure out what we can do. And so we sat down and sketched out a few drawings, and decided that 3D printers are very available. Let's see what we can do to 3D print a mask using a stock mask, and we can just take the stock mask and cut it into 6 patches and put it in the 3D printed mask. And effectively, we can get six times our current supply. And that was our thought process behind this. In surgery, you get your mask dirty, you really don't want to use it twice. And so that's how it kind of got started, is we started 3D printing masks. When we got the file done, I think we sat down on March 19th, and we had the file on the dental website the 22nd. So Sunday morning, early, and we'd worked through the night to get some of that done. We were amazed at how many downloads people downloaded. It was the response was amazing.
Well, I got 3 websites for you. I got makethemask.com, longliveyoursmile.com, and Cybershield.com. Which website are you talking about? Or people listening to you, which website should they go to?
So the longlivethesmile.com is my personal dental site. And that was the one that we put it on initially because it was easy to do. We hadn't made makethemasks.com yet. So we decided that, all right, let's get this on my dental site, because we can just do it immediately, and let's make another site that's a little more robust. But we got 167 countries downloaded off my dental website alone. And I had about 250,000 downloads before I got the other site up. And that one, I don't know how many on that one.
And what was the other? So
the
the first website where all these people are downloading it from all these countries was when you had it on longliveyoursmile.com?
That's correct.
And then the next one you got up was makethemask.com?
That's correct also.
And then the final robust big dog is Cybershield?
Cybershield's not the masks. It's a more of a shield type thing. It was a different product.
Okay, so that's the face shield.
Yeah.
Is that what? Yeah, that does look really cool. You have this mounted like an arm behind the head that comes up and puts a shield on, so you could look down and not get any splatter and all that. So you got a mask and a shield. So do you think so let's stay on focus on the story. So you started on Long Live Your Smile, and then you make the mask, but just in case she's not quite getting it yet, succinctly, what is your makethemask.com? You said you would take a mask and you would just cut it into 6 pieces, so you could take one mask and turn it into 6 masks.
That's right. So here's an example of a 3D printed mask. And what we would do, we would take an existing surgical mask or N95 mask and make a patch. Just cut the mask into 6 portions. And then once the portions were cut, then we would slide them in like that. And then you would have your mask like that. So our whole objective was to take whatever we had in stock, currently now existing, and multiply it so that we could continue to have good quality masks and still operate and do the things we needed to do medically as well as dentistry.
What does Lori Griner always say on Shark Tank? What does she say? What does she say? I know a hero from a zero the minute I see it. I mean, the minute I saw that, I just thought, God, that is so obviously smart, because you need the mask. You just need the mask over your nose and mask, all that extra. You don't need mask going all the way to your ears. Right. That's just genius. So you put that up on your own personal dental website, Long Live Your Smile, and you said people downloaded that from 130 countries.
167 countries, yeah.
I mean, that's just so cool. So what do they download? Are these dental or these are people that already have a printer, a computer printer? So what do these people have, and do dentists have this? Who's downloading it, and what asset would you have to be able to print this mask?
Right. Well, we were, it started in Billings, Montana, and for our local hospitals, these groups just started coming out of the woodwork. These 3D printing groups, and 3D printers they're awesome. They love to come and they love those little trinkets. You've seen everything that you can print with 3D printers, but when they saw that they could actually make a difference, they got excited and just started printing, and buying. People who didn't have printers started buying printers. It's a pretty incredible thing, because it takes about an hour and a half to 2 hours, sometimes 3, depending on the printer, to print out one mask. So it just took off. This community, these are the real heroes. These communities of 3D printers started to just print and then take them to the hospital and print some more and take them to different community hospitals and nursing homes and whoever needed them. And so we really got quite a bit of traction. And then, of course, nationwide, people were calling us. We were off for several weeks, like everyone else, and my full-time job was just answering phone calls and answering emails and helping people get this, because we put the file on for free, and we even put the source file on. Hey, if anybody's got better ideas, feel free to go for it, and take this design that we have and improve on it. And a lot of people did. A lot of not necessarily improvements, but fun, face guards and Darth Vader things that they put on there. But the mask itself, the fit, everything was preserved for the most part for everybody. So
when 3D printers, so first of all, like in dentistry, like if there were 100 dentists in America, how many of them would have a 3D printer?
Well, it's getting really quite popular in the dental field right now. I had one as a dentist, and then I had a couple more at home, and so we used all 4 of our printers to do this. But I've been making surgical guides for 3D printers for an implant. You can make mouth guards. You can make all kinds of models and diagnostic casts and things like that. So I've been using that. I would imagine it may not be the majority, but I would say 30 to 40% of dentists have a 3D printer and are currently using some in their practice.
Okay, so I graduated in '87. What year did you graduate in? From dental
2000,
school. What?
2002.
Okay, so in in '87, they were telling us that all the Crown Bridge laboratories were going to go out of business because of this thing called CEREC coming out of France, right? And you just said a third of them already have a 3D printer. I don't even think 15% have a CAD cam. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, probably so.
So why? So when after World War II, when the big old union for that started the first dental insurance company, the Longshoremen's Club, the president had put a freeze on wages, and so the unions couldn't ask for more money, so they started with dental, and the first dental insurance after World War II covered X-rays at 100%. So every dental office, like a set of dominoes, from Washington, Oregon, California, where Delta started, to the East Coast, they all bought X-ray machines immediately. That was the most rapid onset adoption of any dental technology we've had. CAD-CAM came out in France in the 80s. We're not even about at 15%. So that's not, so when someone says, well, you have to have a CAD-CAM, so dude, 85% of the dentists passed on a CAD-CAM, but you're saying a third of them already have a 3D printer. And so when you came out with this deal, you already had a 3D printer. So what did you have to do? Did you have to write new code to print this mask, or what did you have to do unique to get this up?
So this was what we did day and night for 3 days to get this file out there. So we had to take a 3D modeling program. Interestingly enough, I have a CBCT that can scan the face as well. So we started with that, and we scanned my son's face, and then imported that into the program, and then built the mask around his face.
Is this Colton's face?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And Colton was very instrumental in helping do that, because he's done some 3D modeling and things like that. So the two of us sit down, we would develop this, and then we'd export the file. We'd export what we call an STL file. That's just like the print file. Like if you were to print a document, you'd send it to the printer. Well, this is STL file, goes to a 3D printer, and we would print it, and it would take 2 hours or so to print, and then we'd look at it and say, oh, we got to change it. So we'd go back to the computer, we change the things that we saw that we needed to change, and then we'd start printing it again. And so it was kind of a lengthy process, because we had to wait 2 to 3 hours before we could actually change the file and improve it to where we wanted it. So that was several times where we had to go back and say, oh, the nose is too high, or it's not getting a good seal, or different things. So we we'd change it, we'd go back, wait for it to print. And by the time it got printed, we'd check it out and make any adjustments.
So you had to, this was mostly programming changes that you had to make on the file?
Yep.
And is that something you knew? I mean, are you a programmer, or did you find someone, or is your son called a programmer? Or?
It's not necessarily considered programming. It's more considered 3D modeling. So
see, I'm so old. I used to be a traditional model. I mean, I was always just modeling clothes. Now it's a 3D model. So I need to back up for my homies on this 3D printers. So if dentistry and 3D printing, they basically break it into three categories: stereolithography, SLA, liquid resin, blah blah blah, digital light processing, DLP, or material jetting. Which printer are we talking about here?
So I've got I've got two of those kinds. I've got one of the SLA, which is a resin-based printer, and then we have the PLA, or the adaptive printer, where it will it's like a glue gun. You think of it like a glue gun, where a fine tip melts the plastic as it unrolls.
That's the first one, the stereolithography, SLA?
Yeah,
okay.
That's right.
It's like a glue gun.
Like a glue gun.
Okay.
So
and then and then there's digital light processing and material jetting. You said you had two of the three?
Actually, I have two kinds. One is called the SLA printer. It has the liquid resin in a reservoir, and the light shines on it, and it steps it up every time a light shines on it. Anyway, what you can do it by laser, or you can do it by DLP, and that's the one you've mentioned is the DLP.
Yeah.
So anyway,
so which one's the laser? The third one, the material jetting?
Yeah, that's even a different kind.
So when you said kind of like a laser, was that the SLA or the DLP?
The SLA.
The SLA is kind of like is like a laser glue gun, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it just hardens the resin and pulls the resin up. And
so you had an SLA and a DLP, but the Montana mask is made on the SLA.
Yep, we used the SLA printers and went to town. We just kept the printer going.
And what is the brand of yours? Is SLA, is that the Formlabs one?
I have a Formlabs 2, yeah.
So you have a Formlabs 2? I mean 2.0 like also, or
2.0.
Okay, if you have Formlabs 2.0, and why did you buy that initially? Was it for clear aligners? Was it for TMJ splints? Was it for implant guides?
So it was for implant guides. I found that sometimes when we wanted to do some guided surgical procedures, it was too long to wait to send off and get it back from another company. For instance, if somebody broke off a front tooth and it was a good candidate for an immediate implant placement, those are good to be guided. So what I would do is see that patient maybe in the morning, and by the afternoon I'd have my guide and place the implant in the afternoon, so they didn't have to wait a long period of time.
And what did you pay for that Formlabs 2? That was your first. That was your first. What do you call that? Not CAD cam. What do you call it? CBC, or what are you calling it? The printing.
Just a 3D printer. Just
3D. I thought there was another term.
I'm not sure what I'm.
So your first 3D printer was a Formlabs.
Formlabs, yep.
Formlabs. And what did you pay for that?
I think I paid about $3,500 for it.
See that these are cheap. I remember when we were in 1987, Patterson came out with the first intraoral camera called the Fuji Cam. It was 38 grand, and the lasers were 50. Now a lot of the lasers, the CAD cams are 140. A lot of the lasers for like Lanap is 135, and you're only talking about $3,500 for a printer.
Yeah, yeah.
So these are significantly cheaper.
These have been great. I use them for a lot of other things now too, but still use them for surgical guides for implants.
Yeah. So you bought the Formlabs for $3,500 to make splints for implant surgical guides.
That's right.
So you just had all this in your office, and
Yep.
then the pandemic hit, and you evaluated your assets and said, "Let's innovate our way out of it."
Yeah. Actually,
What an American dream. I mean, what a dream, man.
well, and it goes a little bit further because here's the deal. We're into this thing almost 2 months, right? And our local chapter of the Montana Dental Association is negotiating with the legislation, the mayor, the all those who are making decisions, and they're saying, dentists are using too much PPE. We can't have you go back to work, because we were in Montana. We were deemed a non-essential essential, meaning we needed to take emergencies and keep them out of the emergency department, but we also couldn't really do anything that was considered elective or even urgent. And so when it got into this, the Montana Dental Association said, listen, what if we did this? What if we bought every dentist, every hygienist, assistant, a Montana mask, and gave them material to cut up as patches and kind of showed them, and they said, go back to work. So they did. Every Montana dentist and dental assistant, hygienist got a Montana mask, and we're able to go. That's how we got back to work so quickly. We were still out 7 weeks, but it was, could have been worse.
So you're, I feel like everybody in the country knows what's going on where I'm down here in Arizona and Florida, because we're on the news like every 14 minutes. I don't know if it's because I'm in Arizona, but every story on TV is Arizona or Florida. Sometimes they throw in Texas. How's the epidemic going, or the pandemic going in Montana? And are you, so just in Arizona, we had to close down on St. Patrick's Day, and then they let us back open on Cinco de Mayo. So it has something to do between Irish and Cinco de Mayo. Were you closed down about the same time period?
Yeah, pretty close to that. I think we got open just a little bit sooner than just like 1st of May.
And are you and how do you see it now? I mean, nobody can predict the future. So I got to tell everybody, when your friend's telling you the market's going to crash or the market's going to go up, did he also tell you the cow jumped over the moon? You can't predict the future. You're palm reading. If you're predicting the future, you're a palm reader. That's all you are. You're a witch doctor, palm reader. But are you sensing that the pandemic is gonna get worse in the fall, and that you may have to shut down again, or are you trying to not think those kind of thoughts?
Right.
Did your therapist tell you to quit thinking about that?
Yeah, right. We're in a good spot here in Montana. We are going up. We are in phase 1, opening phase 2. So people are out and about. They're having a few get-togethers. Our cases are going up. We're not huge, but we get 10, 12, 14 a day. That's
10, 12, 14 new cases or deaths?
New cases. No cases.
Yeah, that's the other thing I don't see. The Arizona cases are just exploding, but the mortality rate's not. They'll say, we had 4,500 new cases yesterday. Okay, well, how many died? 14. It's like, Is that a summer thing, do you think? Or do you think in the fall the mortality will catch up? Or you think the virus is getting weaker? I mean, you got a degree in microbiology, chemistry, and dentistry. So you got to, I'm going to hold your feet to the fire. You got to say something. You got 3 degrees, and one of them is the small stuff. What is your background in microbiology? What are you thinking about all this?
Right. So, well, I'm applying the microbiology part of it into the office, right? Making sure everybody's safe, things like that. You know, like you said, again, it's hard to say. My sense is that the cases will continue to go up as more people get to work and do their day-to-day living. But I feel like our total number of hospital cases will probably not go up terribly high. It'll continue to be probably at a level that's acceptable. I mean, acceptable being we're not overrunning our hospitals, and you know, I'm hopeful that we'll get a vaccine and get things moving along there. I know that people talk about herd immunity and things like that. Also, the virus can mutate a little bit, or already has mutated. And I'm kind of keeping a little bit of track of what people are saying scientifically about that. But it's still very contagious, and those that are have any types of symptoms, they get sick, and they get very sick. So still dangerous.
Yeah, but at least you got some really good news. I mean, I was so glad about did you read the news about the Yellowstone yesterday in the news about the, so most volcanoes, you see this big dome because they just kind of burp out and they leave a big dome. But the one in Yellowstone is what do they call it? A super
super volcano.
A super volcano.
Super volcano.
And it's so massive that it just blows out. And the last time it blew, basically they think nobody west of the Mississippi River survived.
Right.
And I'm down here in Arizona, and so when my kids were coming home from school, I'll never forget my oldest boy, Eric, and they all went through the same class with Dr. Caldwell, and 4 by 4 boys came home one day, and I come home and he said, "Dad, did you know Yellowstone has this big volcano, and if it erupts, we're all dead?" And they just come out with a new study that now says that that big area covered that there was actually 2 more eruptions that they all thought it was one, and that now they think they predict the next one won't be for 900,000 years. And I'm
okay.
like, I can live with that.
That's good.
I can live with that. So at least you got some good news. You're not going to be killed by a Yellowstone volcano anytime soon.
That's good news.
So if my homie's listening to this right now, he would need to have a Formlab printer. But if he doesn't have a Formlab printer, probably his oral surgeon or periodontist might have one for surgical guides for implants. Would his orthodontist have one for clear aligners? Would that? Are we talking about the same one?
They're very early adopters for sure.
Of the Stereolithography SLA.
Yeah.
So then, if you so if he needed instructions on how to do this, you're saying to go to makethemask.com?
Yep. Yeah, we put all the videos and information on there about how to print it, how to disinfect the mask, how to cut the patches. You know, pretty much any question that people have asked, we made it into a little dialogue and put it on the website there.
And so what would they do? They'll go to that website and they'll take and they'll watch some videos, and then they need access to an SLA printer.
Yeah, any 3D printer will do it as long as the bed is big enough for, you know, the what we call the build plate is big enough to do that. And of course that's about that size. So somewhere in the 5 by 5 range, you can build yourself a mask.
Now, is there any other, like if I wanted to print something, I don't need a printer, I can go to Kinko's. Is there any public printers?
Yeah. In fact, schools, our District 2 in Billings, because of the need for masks, they opened up the school. They got all 25 printers going, and just kept them busy day and night. So somebody would take an 8-hour shift, then somebody else would come in and take another 8-hour shift, and just keep doing that. So, and then public libraries have them. They're getting very popular.
So I think the most when you're in Phoenix, Arizona, when you want a vacation, you don't want to leave in the winter. It's freaking perfect. I mean, you don't want to go to Hawaii
Right.
or take a tropical cruise. I mean, winters are perfect in Phoenix. But in the summer, I only like Montana, Idaho, Canada, Alaska. I always thought if I was truly a genius, I could figure out how to live where you do in the summer and Phoenix in the winter. Have you
Right.
or are you like that, or do you actually come from? I like these winters in Montana.
So I do winter sports. So I like the winters. We do a lot of snowshoeing and things like that, and backpacking, and so we kind of like the winters. However, we were down in your part of the woods in January. We just took a quick 5-day vacation, my wife and I, and just went around and enjoyed your part of the country.
But if you had to spend the whole winter, would you rather be up there in Montana or Phoenix for the whole winter?
I do like
Half and
I
half.
like Montana. I love it.
Okay, so we talked about you and your son. The third person on that post was Dusty Richardson, MD,
Yes.
and he's on a YouTube video. How's Dusty work into this?
So Dusty is a neurosurgeon. He's a friend of ours. We've developed.
He's an endodontist?
No, he's a neurosurgeon.
I know, but when I was little, the endodontists would come out of school and they do 8 to 9 molar endos a day and make 350 to 400,000 net, and then they bought a microscope, turned
Right.
into a neurosurgeon, and now they do
Right.
4 to 5 molars a day, and
Right.
they've chopped off $100,000. It's like, are they try? I think they're neurosurgeons. I think when they're doing the root canal, they're trying to find the nerve and reattach it at I don't know what they're doing, but they're killing their productivity, their net income. That was a bad joke, but anyway, continue. I'm done with my bad joke.
So by your definition, yeah, he's an endodontist. No, he works at a local hospital here. He and I have done multiple projects. We've done several different things and adapted. Sometimes we were talking about something on a flight. We were on the same flight. We were talking about something in dental, and then he's like, I bet I can adapt that to neurosurgical. And then he was talking about something neurosurgical. I'm like, I bet I could adapt that to dentistry. And so we just got into this dialogue. But anyway, we worked together on lots of different projects. And so he's like, we got to do something. I cannot wear one mask every time for a week. One case is bad enough. You can't go through the entire day without soiling your mask, especially a surgeon. You get blood on and things on your mask, and so you can't keep it on there. So we just sat down and said, listen, what can we do to do that? And so we were drawing things out. He was involved in the idea formation, the planning, the prototyping, and testing. In fact, when you come up with something new, sometimes there's a lot of people who push back a little bit and say, hey, this isn't going to work because this. And so we hurry and go test it. Like one example would be, hey, people can't wear this because there's too much space between the masks, and so they'll get a buildup CO2. So as soon as we heard that, we went to the pulmonary lab. We strapped Colton up to monitors, had him wear the mask, got some baselines first, and then wore different kinds of masks, and published our results on the website. Said, no, CO2 accumulation is not a factor. And then somebody said, well, you can't clean it because there's too many porosities. There'll be bacteria. So we we hurried and did a bacterial loads test and published those results on the website, just so that people, could look and make their own decisions. We weren't saying that they had to make or use the mask at all. It's just these are some of the questions that came up, and we wanted to take a look at them and make sure that things were safe. So
I love.
Actually,
go ahead.
well, I've got, this is what I wear every day. This one is not 3D printed. This one is rubbery, and it's so we moved the technology to injection molding now.
Wow.
So it's softer, and that's a fun story too, because there was this guy in Bozeman, Montana, who makes ski bindings, and he was considered non-essential. So he laid his whole crew off of 100. Nobody could work, and so we kind of teamed up with him and said, hey, 3D printing's nice, but injection molding would be nicer. What do you think? And so he said, yeah, we'll do it. And so he's made thousands of masks. I know his last order was 30,000 masks, and he just sold them for what it cost him to make them. He sold them at $2 a piece, and that's enough to keep his crew going and pay the light bill.
And you know what? People have the craziest ideas about stuff. And if anytime someone's asked me, well, how do you be a millionaire? Well, you make something for $1, you sell it for $2, and you do it 1,000,000 times. It's just that. Right. It's just that easy. I love Matthew Law's post on your thread. He said, by the way, huge shout out to Dr. Zaugg for making this happen. It's guys like you that make me proud to be a dentist. I just love the fact that, when, they say the first casualty of war is always the battle plan. The minute they hear the gunshot, everybody just, there's no atheist in the foxholes. Everybody runs and dives for cover. And the military, I've had the honor of having a 3-star general and 2 1-star generals, because it's a retirement area, that had retired out here. And he always says that, that's you don't even know who you're going to promote till you see them under stress. And then when they're under stress, he says, what I look for is, well, when the shit hit the fan, who did they all run to? Well, whoever they all ran to, that's their leader. That's the reality of the leader. So you were going to appoint this guy over here, but when the battle plan died, they all ran to that guy over there. So that guy's the leader. I just love the fact that in the middle of a pandemic, your best idea was to innovate a new solution. That's just so damn cool. I mean, just you didn't go cry, you didn't go in the corner. I want to switch gears so they can go to makethemask.com and everything they need, every video, instruction, everything they need, right?
Yeah, right.
Is it have you condensed it to a 1-hour course where they could get on? Dentists are kind of freaky out. There's about half the dental market just doesn't want to take an online CE course if they can't get AGD credit.
Right.
That it just is what it is. Do you have like a course that could be followed up with 10 questions and make an online CE course?
Well, we haven't done that. We've just it's amazing. So many things had to come into play, and it was just run. So that hasn't been on our radar. The first thing was get it developed, get the file out there, answer questions, get a website up. And so we all did that. It was just the 3 of us for a while. And if you look on that website, Make the Masks, and look under volunteers, you'll see that there are hundreds of volunteers now that are helping people and answering their questions. And I think every single state has at least 1 volunteer, and then there's a few countries that have volunteers. And people just stepped up. I mean, that's the real story of this, is that people want to do something. They wanted to help out. What can we do to help?
Okay, where's that come from? I mean, 100 people could have done exactly what you just did, and title for volunteers wouldn't even have been on their radar. In fact, if you would have suggested to them, they would have said, "What are you even talking about? Where does that come from? What when you're doing the make the mask, you all this stuff? Where does it come from that you'd have a volunteer section?"
We just saw a need, and we're trying to fulfill that need. I mean, people across the country, my microbiology self cringed when they were making RNs and healthcare workers use a do-rag or some kind of
do-rag
cloth rag right in front of them. And let's get them a mask.
I'm not sure I know exactly what a do-rag is, but I'll have to go to Urban Dictionary to look that one up.
That's right. That's a Montana thing.
That's a Montana thing? Okay, there you go.
Or handkerchief or some kind of cloth covering. It's just not as good. And so we were seeing the need, and we were just wanting to help and get these masks to people who needed them the most.
So these volunteers, so you go to makethemask.com, and mask is plural, makethemask.com. By the way, if you can buy Make the Mask without the S, I do that.
I know.
The marketing people always say, look and see but anyway, so these people, first thing I looked at is Arizona. So Darren Roher is the volunteer in Arizona. So is that usually going to be a dentist? Is it usually going to be someone in a hospital, PPE? Where do these volunteers usually come from?
It's across the board. So they're either some of them are dentists, but not all. Some of them are in the healthcare. Some of them are 3D professionals. That's what they do. We've got a few that are engineers. We had a few that were architects. We got a few that are moms that just had some time and thought, I need to do this. This is a good idea. I need to get it out there. And we just signed them up. We kind of debriefed them, make sure they knew what to say and what everything was about. And then they could represent, and get things in there. One of the hard things at first to do was to get the mask in the hospitals, because it was so new and they didn't know, and they wanted to make sure everything was good. And so these volunteers would take the mask and they would go into the hospital and talk to the administrator and say, listen, you're telling your people to put rags on, or cloth on top of their mouths because you don't have anything. Here's a solution. Let's take it to your occupational health. Let's do a particle test. Let's make, you vet it for yourself so that you know what you're getting. And so once they did that, once they started to do, particulate particle testing and look at some of the things that they put other masks against, then they saw that this was a good thing and started to adopt them. So these volunteers were very helpful, because at first nobody knew what to expect. Nobody knew what the mask was going to look like or feel like or function like. And so once they got it in their hands, they understood it, they used it, then they adopted it. So these volunteers were very important for that.
So you do the mask deal. Now I see this Cybershield. I'm not a microbiologist, but it seems let me just lay this out there, and you tell me how crazy I am, or it's kind of right. I mean, when they say an N95 mask, they're already admitting that 5% is coming through. Right. And then when I read about aerosols and droplets and everything, I'm thinking of an old BB gun. What was that Christmas show where that guy shoots his glasses out? What was it?
Christmas Story.
The Christmas Story. I'm thinking of that little boy with a BB gun, hit his glasses and showered it. And to me, it just seems like a shield's the more obvious. I mean, I'd rather have your droplet hit my mask. Hit my shield than hit my mask. So, and then your other product was that arm where you actually could flip a shield right over the patient. So you could just, they're underneath you flip a shield over and go into work. Being a microbiologist and a dentist for decades, if you could only pick one, you'd have to have a mask or a shield when you're doing an MOD composite on a molar. If you could only pick one, MOD composite on a molar, would you go with the shield or the mask?
Okay, well, since you forced me, I would actually go the shield.
So would I.
It keeps it closer to the patient, so you're not getting those particles, and that Cybershield actually has negative pressure, so it has suction to it. So it's keeping everything right there.
And is it, and how long is Cybershield after the mask, or is this a this is a new thing, the Cybershield?
Yeah. But
shield, you know the neatest thing about the Cybershield, the very neatest thing.
What's
is
that?
I'm one of your followers on
right.
But
I got a friend.
What's that?
I got a friend, a follower.
You got a friend. So how long was aboutthemask.com before you decided we need a shield? I mean, think about it, Roman. I mean, he's got a sword and a shield. I mean, the shield just seems like the shield. It seems like it's a very obvious thing. So where are you at on the Cybershield?
So a few weeks into the masks. We're listening to the ADA and the CDC coming up with protocols and trying to get dentistry back into play, and we're hearing all kinds of things. It was all over the board, and probably still is a little bit. And some of the things that they were requiring, I was kind of feeling like I was in a class 5 microbiology suit. And I said, there's got to be a little bit different way to do this. And so that I was kind of pondering on it, and it just kind of clicked. Hey, why don't we do something like this? And so I sketched it out. Designed it, and had I actually have some equipment at home that I can go ahead and cut out parts, and so we just cut out everything, and again took 2 or 3 prototypes, and then I used it, and I thought, wow, this is actually pretty good. And so I did a couple of other things, and we thought, well, let's hook some suction to it, because we've got suction right chair side, so let's hook up a suction to it. And we actually did a little video where we have some mist coming up, as though it were coming up from someone's mouth, and the suction just mitigated it. It was quite impressive. So anyway, we kind of jumped on that one and did that one. So
tell me, what are your business models for both these? If you were on Shark Tank, obviously the smartest guy on Shark Tank is Mr. Wonderful, because he's bald. I mean, you'll notice that whenever you walk in any room, the bald guy's always the smartest guy in the room. I think everyone agrees with that. So Mr. Wonderful is going to say, show me the money. What's the business plan? Mask, they're downloading the software. How do you make money off that? The shield. Mr. Wonderful will be saying, is this a business? This is what he would tell you exactly after hearing this. He'd say, Doc, is this a hobby or a business?
Right. So there are 2 distinct ones. The mask is completely, it actually took a lot of my resources. It cost us money.
So it was a hobby.
It was a hobby. It was let's get everybody safe type of situation.
Good on you, man. Good on you.
And so we didn't make any money, and we made sure that we actually patented it too, to stop anybody that is charging $75 a mask or something. We could, using our files. So that's the mask. The mask.
I love your tagline: print a mask, work with your community, and help save lives during COVID-19. That's where every dentist needs to be coming from in his heart and soul. You know what I mean? It's like when my boys, when they'll say, "Am I bothering you?" I always say the same thing. family first, business second. You can't be bothering your dad. I mean, if you show up at my operatory in the middle of a root canal, I'm taking a break right now, and we're going to the break room and we're gonna eat food. But yeah, so I loved your family first, business second. Hey, we're in the middle of the pandemic. Let's get safe first. So then where did you go?
So then the Shield is a business model. We developed it. It's nothing that somebody can just put together. You know, it's you can't 3D print it. You know, you have to have equipment to do it. And so we made that available. We are making money on that. And Patterson actually picked it up a couple weeks ago and is selling the Cybershields as well. So
now, did you talk to Eric, the CEO of Patterson Dental? Is that who you? Or
it wasn't Eric. I can't Nick or something like that. I think it was
okay.
Who I talked to. So
and so they're going to pick up the Shield.
Yeah.
And so, are you going to be the manufacturer?
So we moved the manufacturer to a place in Ogden, Utah, and we have someone manufacturing them for us.
Because you got don't you got American Eagle up there? American Dental Hygiene, American Eagle.
In Utah, in Ogden?
No, up in Montana.
Oh, in Montana. I'm not familiar with that. We have I don't know. I'm not familiar.
Yeah. American. Is it American Eagle? What is that? What is that American? God. What is the instrument? Dental instrument manufacturer in Montana. Did I get it right? Yeah, American Eagle Instruments, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where they're based. Where are they based in? Missoula or Bozeman?
They are based in Missoula.
Okay.
But have you ever been there?
I've not been there.
That's one of those. That's one of those old school American companies where like when you went to ADEC when Ken Austin was alive.
Right.
I took my boys there. You know, when we were little, I had 5 sisters, and every vacation was the same thing. Dad would want to head off to some big old amusement park, some Six Flags over anything. And on the way, we would stop at any big major company that would give you a tour. So, we saw our station wagon made. We saw Budweiser. I love Coors beer because I was a little kid. Did you know he used to make all of his own bottles and patented the first dental ceramics because he had his own bottle? Back in the day, they didn't outsource nothing. And,
right.
My gosh, at ADEC, at the beginning, they were dropping off leather pallets and boxes of metal beads.
Right.
And then 400 yards down at the other end was an ADEC chair coming off the assembly line. I mean, it's unbelievable. Same thing in that American Eagle Instruments. It's a foundry. I mean, you think you're going back in time. It's a foundry making dental scalers. But you don't think anybody in this place, I mean, you don't walk in there and think of a hygienist cleaning someone's teeth. You walk in there and think, holy crap, what are these people making? But it is, man, if anybody... if you're up there in Montana, I'd definitely go see American Eagle Instruments.
I'll have to do it.
Yeah, you have to do it. But those are some badass boys that fearless in a foundry, right? So you're gonna make this mask, make the mask turned into the Cybershield. So are you you're gonna manufacture that in Ogden, Utah?
That's right. Yep.
And that's what, because you got a brother down there? So you were born there?
I do.
You were born there
I have
in
a brother
Ogden?
down there. Yep.
Yeah. Now, if you're a male in Utah, it's 108% chance you're a dentist. So is he also a dentist?
He is not.
He's not a dentist? Was he adopted or what? What happened?
Funny story. He does these exhibit booths. And they're not having any trade shows this year.
Yeah.
So,
right.
I mean, the whole year was canceled for him, and he makes these elaborate ones. In fact, one of his clients is Ultradents, and Dentrix. He makes these booths for these people.
Ultradet, Dan Fisher. Did you run this idea by Dan Fisher?
I haven't. No.
Do you know Dan?
I don't know Dan.
Well, text me and or email me. But anyway, I'll give you his text or cell phone. But that's another freak like that where. The first thing he made is that little, was that anti-bleeding thing, right?
Right. Yep.
What was that product? The
astringent.
Astringent. And the first time I met him, I didn't know what to think of him. I mean, he drew blood on his arm. He scratched blood on his arm, then pulled out astringent, like a little container of etchant, and stopped it. And I thought two things. This guy just demoed stopping a bleeding cut on his forearm. That's badass. And then when I went and saw him, what I loved the most is he made every ingredient. I mean, the little plastic tip, the little brush. When he came out with his Ultradet, I liked his 0 cord and his 1 cord. You can't even make this up. You know how 0 cord is made?
I don't. No.
Women are knitting it.
Knitting it. I know it was knit, but I didn't know.
Women knit the Ultradet. I mean, the guy. I mean, because most people in America, and one of the biggest problems in America is they see something like that and they go, great, I know a consultant that can find me a place that can manufacture this in China.
Right.
And you know where that comes from? It comes from because it was unions. It was during the Bolshevik Revolution in 1917, and everybody started getting isolationist, and they all wanted this union stuff. And before all that union stuff, you'd let in immigrants. So you wouldn't have called someone in China to make it. Some Chinese, you would have called that guy in China and he would have come to Montana and made it. So, but now that guy can't get into America. So when everybody talks about, well, the next 250 years of America are going to be like the last 250 years, before and they put up that wall during the Bolsheviks in 1917 that cut off all the immigration, and it didn't even take one decade of everybody planning on it, everything's going to be fine, where the economy collapsed in 1929. It took from 1917 to 1929 to cut off so much aggregate incoming demand that it finally collapsed. And it's so weird. You say to anybody, this is the weirdest thing I can't get my hands around America. Do you think America's a great country? Oh, yeah. What made America great? Well, people moved here from every corner of Earth for 500 years. Oh, okay, so you're ready to open back up Ellis Island? No, I want to build a wall. Okay, then it's no longer America. But it's so sad. But Dan Fisher and that American Eagle are two of the remaining, and Kevin Austin, but him and his wife passed away last couple of years. But man, Dan Fisher and that American Eagle. If you walked in there with this Coke can and said, hey, can you make me 100,000 of these? They'd say, well, I don't know how, but if you give me a couple of weeks, I will.
Right.
I mean, that's just, I just love that spirit. That's what we need to get back to.
I think so.
So who's going to make the shield for you now? You're talking to Patterson Dental, and what are they going to do? They going to buy them from, you're going to manufacture them in Ogden and then distribute them through
They're going to sell and distribute. And right now, the Ogden production, they're keeping up and doing a good job. So anyway, that's Patterson's doing the sales and the
distribution.
The distribution of things. Yep.
And you feel like it's a pretty scalable business. So if the orders double, you can double the orders.
Yeah.
And just wondering where this came from. There's Patterson, Shine, Benko. I was surprised you said Patterson because you're up there in Burbank country, or what's the Burkhart Dental.
Oh,
they're out of
territory.
The next state over in Washington. What made you? Most of my dentist friends up there, if they're within 100 miles of Burkhart headquarters, they're all Burkhart. So what made you call Patterson in Minneapolis, St. Paul instead of Burkhart over in Washington?
Well, I didn't call anyone. They came to me. So
they just caught wind of all this and they called you?
Right.
Good at them.
Yeah, we just we were marketing on our own, selling on our own, and they said, "Hey, we like your idea. Let's sit down, sharpen the pencil." And so we did.
Nice. There's a girl that needs help. She's crawling down on the floor behind you, so she's not in the camera. Tell her I saw her. I saw her.
She saw you.
So are you at your dental office?
I am.
On
Yeah.
lunch break. So so let's go back. I want to capitalize on your how long you been in your dental office now? How long have you had a dental office?
It'd be 18 years.
So 20 years a dentist, microbiologist. Talk to my homies. They're young, they're scared. I mean, could you imagine graduating from dental school last month from the COVID class of 2020? They came out, they're in the middle of the pandemic. When I talk to my friends at Dental Supply Comes, they're like, this is their moral problem that I want you to address. They don't know if they're buying UVA lights and all this stuff, and it's panic, paranoia.
Right.
And the litmus test is, will this survive the pandemic? Like when AIDS came out in 79, I came out of dental school in 87, and they were already talking about that cuspidor's got to go, that water from the street's got to go. You should have an independent bottle in your room. What do you think? What do you see dentists buying right now from Patterson that you think, yeah, I'm a microbiologist and a dentist for 20 years. This is a good idea. And what are dentists buying right now that you're scratching your head thinking, this I don't think they'll be buying this 2 years after the pandemic when they forgot all about it. What's hype,
Right.
and what do you think? Yeah, that's good.
Well, I think starting with the premise that you actually mentioned, I was when AIDS came in, HIV. I was in the OR and doing surgical procedures, and that was really the last revolution of PPE. You know, that was when things changed for us. I remember not needing to have safety glasses and, you know, all these different. That's when universal precautions was created, and so. I've been through that revolution, and I think it's just another revolution. I think everybody is in a mode of keeping things safe for practitioners. So having said that, you know, I think there'll be probably some things that we're going to have to make sure that we do, you know, differently maybe, but not really. I see us as having, you know, dentists have practiced differently too. You know, there was a time where we didn't even wear gloves. I didn't participate in that, but you know, beyond me, no gloves. And so there's going to be some changes. There's going to be some things that we have to adapt, but it won't be overwhelming. It won't be. I think the new folks coming out are going to be very adaptive to how things are going to be done. We've always had bacteria and viruses around us. The you know, the influenza comes every year, and we know it. And you know, we don't change our practice because it comes each time. We just have to adhere to the foundational principles that keep us safe in the first place. So
20 years ago, did you have a cuspidor, and do you have cuspidors today?
No and no.
No and no. Okay, so I'm older then. 20 years ago, did the water coming out your high speed, was that just city water out of a pipe? And is that still today, or do you have an individual water in the room?
Individual water in the room.
But what about when you started 20 years ago?
I actually started with water in the room. So
this looks like okay. So the correct answer was you started with a cuspidor and water from the street, and you said no and no. So that's that microbiology background, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you saw what I clearly couldn't see. I had to flunk a couple of water tests, and they're like, well, something's wrong with your CFU test because it should be between like 200 and 215, and you're just like 40,000. And I'm like, what? And then it turned out that they said, we think it's because you're in Phoenix and it's 116 outside and the water pipes are growing everything. They go, dude, you have archaea, eukaryotes, prokaryotes, fungi, and I think your little brother's in there somewhere. You know, so since do you got time, or I see people crawling around the floor giving you notes.
I think I'm getting a few high signs here, so we can
wrap this thing up right now. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So let's wrap it up right now and just say, I wish you'd make an online CE course on this because CAD CAM never got over 15%. We're already at a third at CBT printing. I don't even have one. I mean, I'm embarrassed to say I don't have a printer. I don't have a Formlab. It's $3,500. I mean, I spend that much at Arby's every month. I wish you'd do an online CE course because this might be the reason the other 2/3 start with their first CBCT printer. So I'd like that. And then just one last question, yay or nay, and then you run. The UV lights and the air filters. Good idea or panicking?
I hate to jump in. My gut feeling is a little bit of panicky. I mean, I've already implemented when we built the office, we had the furnace do 20 air exchanges an hour. So I think that's important. But beyond that, do we need air purifiers in every single room? Do we need laminar flow? No, I don't think we need those.
Do we need a negative pressure room?
Yeah, I don't think we do.
I thought the negative pressure room was the staff break room where the staff are all in there eating and complaining and whining. Is that a negative pressure? You got to pay. When I saw your office manager crawl off across the floor, it's like, I want her to move to Phoenix and work for me. That is commitment. When you can crawl on the floor to pass a note, that was just so cool. But I really wish, I'm Howard at dentaltown.com, but we got another, but the Howard Goldstein is Hogo, and I'm going to send an email him because I think that something good out of the pandemic would be to buy your first CBCT and print your first damn N95 mask.
Yeah, your 3D printer. Yes, you betcha.
And any asset I got, if you want to do an article for Dental Town, online CE, whatever you need, you let me know. I think you're on the right track. I think you're cool as hell. And thank you so much for coming on the show. And I'm pretty sure you got a patient in room 3 right now.
Thank you so much.